So I was asked by Ryan Lowe to analyze his throwing form for backhand. If you're not familiar with Ryan Lowe, he recently put out an amazing forehand video where he was on a beach, he had a drone, he's throwing no shirt, no shoes, but he actually breaks down the forehand extremely well. He uses some great analogies, putting out the cigarette butt with your foot, so turning your heel, using boxing analogies, the way that he talks about using your arm, your shoulder, the wrist, everything like that. It's one of the most well-done forehand videos actually online right now, which is great. The production quality is super high. The instructions are extremely detailed. Really, really well done. So definitely better than any of the forehand videos I've put out in terms of production quality. Really, really impressive. And so I've shared it already online. I've sent it out to my email list, and he reached out to me, and so we've been talking a bit about some things, especially backhand. So he sent me a backhand video that I'm going to be watching, and I will have it playing over this video as I'm sort of walking through it. It's only 27 seconds long, and so I'm going to watch the video, give some tips on it, and hopefully it'll help you as well with your game. So he has a nice X step. So one thing I noticed right away, if he's trying to throw for distance, let me just bring it back here a little bit. So his head does not turn all the way back, so you could definitely get more rotation. We see this a lot in disc golf. It's kind of like the Bruce Lee, 1-inch punch. You don't want to have a tiny bit of rotation, but you also don't want to have too much rotation. So you have to figure out sort of where that sort of optimal power point is, how much rotation you need to get in order to get the power. So as you can see, when he's turning back, right, he's not turning his head all the way back. So if he can turn his head back a bit, then his right shoulder will actually go behind his left shoulder a bit more. He'll be able to get a bit more rotation, a bit more torque, a bit more power. You can also see as he's coming through that the nose of the disc is up a little bit, so causing it to air bounce. So we really want to make sure that the nose to tail of the disc is nice and flat. Right? So nose to tail nice and flat. If the nose is up, then it's going to be air bouncing a little bit, and then we're going to be losing some distance for sure on that throw. Love the production quality. The drone is amazing. Be awesome to have that. And you can see, so 74 meters, it's about 81 yards. It's not bad. It's more than full field. That one is better in terms of the angle. So you can see coming through here, nose to tail is flatter. So this is a huck, not a pull. But it's very low, so he's not going to get as much, doesn't have the ability to as much on that. We'll see what the distance is like on that. Yeah, so 61 meters, so a lot shorter. So that one would be about 67 yards, so not full field. So those are some of the things that I would recommend. As well, you can see here his wrist has it very neutral, so he doesn't have it actually cocked right now. So I'd actually recommend turning his wrist back and cocking the wrist. The more spin you have on a disc, the more power you have. The more spin you have on a disc, the more glide you're going to have, which means more distance. And snapping through here. Yeah. As well, when he's transferring the weight from the back to the front, he still keeps his back toe sort of dragging on the ground. So when you do throw, when you're transferring that weight, have that foot come off the ground 100% on the front foot. It'll help you get more power in the throw. But X step is great. And that's not a bad throw. You can also see the disc actually turning over. So as it's flying, it's turning over, lands flat. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that's not bad at all. So those are some of the tips that I would give to Ryan. Throwing it that far, throwing it, first throw was what? 240, so 80 yards. Not bad at all. Like, to be able to throw it more than full field is pretty impressive. There's not a ton of people that can do that. Obviously, when you're doing that full field, you want to be getting it in the air as high as possible with as much power, so you get more hang time if you're pulling it, so you can get down there. Doesn't mean you want to be throwing it, straight up in the air. You do want to have that forward flight on it, play around with the angles a bit, but nice work. Production quality is great. I'd love to be able to have a drone that I can go out and film. That's awesome. Cool. All right, man. Well, thanks, Ryan. I will be chatting with you soon, and actually would love to do more of this. This is actually kind of fun. Wasn't sure what to expect getting into it, but yeah, I don't know. I like looking at form. I like helping people add more distance onto the throw. So just sort of a recap, I would suggest working on the footwork a little bit. So when you're transferring that weight from the back to the front, you're putting more of the weight, so more 100% on the front foot. Working on that nose to tail, keeping that nose to tail a little flatter. Probably a little more inside out. You notice that the disc turned at the end. So if you put a little more inside out, then it's going to finish a little flatter and get more glide. So as it starts to turn, it's falling. If you can keep it flatter, then it's going to get more glide, more distance. Really work on cocking that wrist. So instead of having in neutral, we want to be bringing it back and then snapping as we go forwards. Okay. Trying to keep that nose to tail flat, like I mentioned, and more rotation. So turning the head back a little bit more, which will help you get more rotation, more power in the throw.